I'm super fly, super duper fly, super duper fly. Me, I'm super fly, super duper fly, super duper fly. Me, I'm super fly, super duper fly, super duper fly. Me, I'm super fly. When the rain hits my window, I take in me some endo. Me and Timberland, ooh, we sang a jangle. We so tight that you get our styles tangled. Sway your do-si do like you loco. Can we get kinky tonight like Coco? So, you wanna play with my yo-yo? I smoke my hydro on the D-Lo. I can't stand her. It's my window. I can't stand her. It's my window. I can't stand her. It's my window. I can't stand her. Hey, it's Soleil, and this is episode 311 of the Orange Pill Investor. And I also cannot stand the rain. But rain is going to be this, might be the theme of this episode. But let me just check the chats and make sure we're actually connected here. Make sure I'm not speaking into the void. Thank you, good sirs and madams, if there are any. I suspect this channel is overwhelmingly male, but hopefully there's a little bit of estrogen sprinkled in somewhere. What's up, Kevin? Oh, well, I'll right back. It's it's funny. If are you a native Spanish speaker? Because YouTube pitched me a this little uh, cute little Mexican chick trying to teach me some common Mexican Spanish, like unique to Mexican. There was one that was like aguas or something. I can't even remember what it meant, but I was like, I thought that was supposed to be water. Anyway, bunch of unique Mexican terms, and I had to stop watching because my wife's Puerto Rican, and I'm like, I can't be over here learning the wrong fucking Spanish. It's bad enough that I don't speak Spanish as it is, but if I come around here talking the Mexican dialect, it probably won't work out too well for me. David, good morning. Back to you. You too as well, Russ. Good morning, Andrew, Scott, Jeremy. Let's see. Scott says using percentages up or down, that is. And M. DuBois says, to hear you. Thanks everyone for confirming. Good morning, Stoic. uh hopefully I can, Michael. Um so obviously we're gonna do a little bit of trades. Friday's roll day. But I want to talk about something that Michael Saylor said on Tom Bilyeu's show. Tom's show was one of the first accounts that actually, hey, live life well. I'm glad some estrogen showed up. Um, Tom's YouTube channel was the first channel that improved my algorithm. So before before I started watching his channel, YouTube basically was just nonstop trying to pitch me street fight videos, uh, just anything that would just get me road rage fights, just anything that would just keep me scrolling from video to video. And I caught a bunch of like sleep experts on his channel and some nutrition people, and that kind of spread to Huberman's channel when that one came out. And I almost hesitated to mention that one because I haven't watched him for a while, and like his list of sponsors just got so long that anyway, there's another guy, Scott Carney, who covered some Athletic Greens stuff, that how all of these influencers that are pitching Athletic Greens, um, the guy who started Athletic Greens is like some kind of, I don't know, history of being a scammer. And so, he's actually got a couple of, episodes on some of the bad science that's been on Huberman's show, and kind of suggesting that some of it may be kind of contaminated by money. Go figure. When has that ever happened before? But anyway, I still got a lot of value out of Huberman's stuff in the past. Where I was going with that is, my algorithm got better, so it started suggesting me, Lex Friedman. There was a bunch of entertaining stuff on there, and then, just started watching a bunch of people that weren't just crap. It wasn't just mindless scrolling. I was actually learning about nutrition and money and Bitcoin and all of that good stuff. So I owe a debt to Tom's YouTube channel for that. I really don't watch too much, but of course when I saw Saylor back on his show, I had to watch it. And the thing that struck me was when Saylor actually admitted, and I thought this was a fucking gem. He literally admitted that MicroStrategy has a money printer because they can just issue shares. And sometimes I've compared my covered call strategy to what Saylor's doing, right? If he's selling convertible bonds to the bond market 50% out of the money, then why is it so, terrible when I do it? Well, the big difference is because when my shares get called away, they're just gone and they're going to give me the money, right? They're going to replace those shares with money. But MicroStrategy doesn't get their shares called away. They just print some. And so they're basically just doing what everyone hates the Fed for doing. Now, the main difference, and the reason why I said the rain will be a common theme, is it's like, the money printer is like, just making it rain at the strip club, right? You just get wads full of dollar bills and you just make it rain, right? Well, when the Fed does it, all it does is just dilute. The Fed doesn't just print money and then buy Bitcoin with it. And if they did, we'd probably all of our dollars would be going up in value and it wouldn't be that bad. And I think it's the Cantillon effect. I meant to research that a little bit, but so I don't think I'm getting that wrong, but somebody can correct me if I do. But the principle is that whoever stands closest to the money printers gets the richest. And how, the farther you stand away from the money printers, those people get the poorest. And I thought, well, if MicroStrategy has a money printer, then why wouldn't I just want to stand as close to it as I possibly can by owning it? If I was a shareholder and all they did was issue shares and they pissed it away and just made it rain at the strip club, then I would have cause to complain. And I've been going back and forth with one person on X, and I think it was a perfectly good faith conversation. But they were kind of questioning, like, "Hey, look, if is it really fair for Saylor to come out with this 21 plus 21 plan over the next 3 years and then execute it in 3 months? Like, is this an undue amount of ATM selling in a too rapid period of time?" And my first comment was like, no, the 3 year is like they're allowed to take up to 3 years. But if you're running a race and somebody says, hey, I think I can run a mile in 8 minutes, and then they, you know, they happen to just run it and, break the 4 minute mile barrier, like, are you really complaining? Like, no, you're supposed to do it better. But I think the suspicion and the trauma that people are experiencing, I guess, is, um, I don't know, when it went up to 500 a share, it was supposed to go to 750 or 1,000. I don't know. I think people use their imaginations about how high this thing should have gone. And maybe, maybe I'll personally take a little bit of blame for that FOMO because all I do is talk about MicroStrategy every fucking day. And so, psychologically, we think, all right, over the next year, it might get to 500, 750, 1,000 or more. So if it can get there over the next year, shouldn't it just go ahead and get there today? Um, but that's not reasonable. The chart doesn't just go straight up. It's got to go up, hit resistance, consolidate, find support, trade sideways, gather strength. And so my first tweet this morning was, if people are worried about the price being suppressed, un you know, unduly suppressed, then they've never tried to hold a beach ball underwater. You can only hold it underwater for so long before it slips out of your fingers, and then, a green candle like this happens, right? You can hold the beach ball underwater, boom, it pops up and hits you in the face, and then you could get a hold of it again, and bam, it pops you in the face again. So, I'm not worried. My time horizon for this bull market is the next year, but I'm on a Bitcoin cycle, so this is like a 5-year thing for me, a 10-year thing, 20-year thing. When I really get serious about trying to imagine what can slow MicroStrategy down, like, I'm not worried about MicroStrategy's growth until Bitcoin is double the size of the bond market. Because now the convertible bond fuel that MicroStrategy is using is smaller than the market it's trying to fuel. So, I don't know how many decades it's going to take for Bitcoin to eat the bond market, because the bond market is probably gonna continue to grow as well. So it's not like Bitcoin is growing and nothing else is growing. So anyway, nothing has changed. Oh yeah, so the last comment that I responded to going back and forth with this person was, and this was a reasonable question. It was like, okay, just to prove that I'm not a short-term trader mentality, what if the price was suppressed for 3 years straight, right? If we had like a 3-year run, and I'm gonna stretch it to 4 or 5 um, because that's the traditional Bitcoin cycle. And I'm like, yeah, I absolutely agree. And that's why I'm showing the 5-year chart here, because since they've implemented the strategy right around here, right? This first pump was when they implemented the strategy. So it's up like 2000%. So however much MSTR has been suppressed, it's up 2000%. So if we can revisit this chart in 5 years and it's not green from December 2024 to December 2029, if it's not green, then I will apologize profusely and admit that the ATM was a mistake. But MicroStrategy has a money printer. They're using it, and they're using it to buy the the best collateral in the history of the world. So I want to stand as close as I possibly can to that money printer. All right. I could have said all of that with fewer words if I only had more time, but let me just let me just check the chats, and and then I'll make a couple of trades here. Danimal says bought some MicroStrategy this morning, just shares. Congratulations. Obviously, it's not financial advice, but I'm going to be with you, except I will probably, well, I don't know. We cratered and then kinda recovered a little bit, so I don't know if I'm gonna make any more purchases. If I had snuck in here at the open, what was it, 3:30 at the open? I don't know. We'll see. I still think 350 is a bargain. I mean, it doesn't mean that we won't see 250 because that's kinda where I see support at 250, right? We had this kind of little resistance here. So 225, 250 is support, and I'm not saying we can't see 250 before 650. So maybe that has to happen. Maybe that's the max pain scenario. I don't know. Fingers crossed. But Live Life says, and I'm actually a biologically born female. You're welcome. I thank you. A thousand thanks. Michael says, did Saylor get a $2 billion check today? I don't know. Russ, are you a biologist or something? Close psychologist. You're a gist. Um, oh God. All right, definitely skipping that comment. Um, Brahm says, hey, hey, Soleil. And then Russ says, I'd never heard of a gist slang abbreviation. Learn something new every day. And Howard says, that is indeed the Cantillon effect. Oh, Cantillon. Am I throwing an extra I in there? Yeah, that's possible. All right. Russ says MSTR is like us cutting to the front of the line on this. Yeah, exactly. I definitely um by uh by investing in MicroStrategy this year, I probably advanced my retirement by like 5 years for sure. I basically jumped in a time machine, went ahead in time, an entire Bitcoin cycle, and then got out and just I'm just living in the future now. So now, does that mean that I'm not feeling the pain as well? Like, uh, when I checked my account balance this morning, it was down almost 50%. So let's just call it 40%. But MicroStrategy is only down a third. So if MicroStrategy is down 30% and I'm down 45%, why is that? That is because I am still levered to the absolute freaking gills. Is it probably excessive uh, to an extent? So worst case scenario for me, if MSTR dropped to 200 a share and I sold 20 covered calls a week, um, let's see, 2,000 shares times 200, is that 400,000? So 1% of that would be like 4 grand a week. Is that right? Let me just check the calculator. So 2,000 shares times 200 bucks. Yeah. So times two, let's see. So yeah, so 20 covered calls, 2 grand, basically 1% of 400,000 a week. We'll move the decimal place over too, right? Oh God, why did I just multiply times? Anyway, times 0.01. Yeah, I can survive off 4 grand a week. That's fine. If I had to go all in and pay the bills, which I actually did pay bills last night, so bank account's looking a little empty. The cupboard is getting bare. So I may have to sell a few covered calls, even though I prefer not to do that on a dip, but I refuse to get margin use again. So we'll see. I may sell off a few shares and buy another couple long calls if I can still dollar cost average into these 1080s. No, actually, so the trade price and the mid price for the 1080s is right around break even. So if MSTR drops down to 300 or below, I will probably sell off some shares to jump into some more 1080s, but I don't feel I don't feel any sense of urgency to do that. So may not add much of a position today, if at all. All right, let's check the trade. So let's get rid of my face so it doesn't block the screen. All right, I'm looking at the main account. Do I have anything expiring today? December 20th. No, I do not. The closest thing I have are these call debit spreads that have like what, like a 10% chance of actually hitting. So we'll see. It's a small position. If they're losers, that's just how it is. Again, I got a little bit over excited about this January expiration. I picked up a couple of these 1080s when it came out. I've had this on for a month. It might have been profitable for like a week or something. Um, but this is fine because this was like, I don't know, half of a percent of my portfolio. It's kind of okay to gamble with tiny little, numbers. Relatively, that is. All right, this one. These are the 5 covered calls that I have on against these 5 leaps. It's only been on for a week. Sold it for 2,100. I could buy it back for 13. Now, the only way that this makes any sense is if I either roll the strikes down to collect more money, but that limits my upside, or I roll it out, and I would have to roll it out to 49 days to expiration, and I generally target 45. So I'm inclined to hold this till at least Tuesday, so that if I roll it out a week to February 6th, is that even a date? No. So the only thing in between January 31st and February 21st is nothing. So by next Tuesday, will they open up the weeklies? I don't know. So I'm not inclined to do anything here unless I wanted to roll this down to the 500 strike, but I doubt I'm gonna like that idea. So this is January 31st. If I roll it down to like the 550 or maybe even the 500, you know what? Let me turn down the volume in case the fill noises get cray. So I could roll down to the 500 strike and basically collect what I was collecting on the 600. Hmm. So that would be limiting my upside to $500 a share on over the next 45 days, 42 days. And I did say that I needed to take some profits, right? So that would give me about 5 grand. I may have to just do that. The only other way that I can generate cash would be to sell some long calls for profit, which I would prefer not to do. It might be an emotional decision for me, but the fact that I didn't sell them when we hit 500 a share makes me a little bitter and want to and want to wait until it gets back to that level. But, you know, the Aprils are still up 3x. The Junes are break even. The Decembers are up 2x. Ooh, the Januaries are down over 50%. So those are brutal. And it really doesn't even matter. If I wanted to tax loss harvest something for this year, I could actually sell this January at a $10,000 loss. That's kind of interesting. Count that against my gains for the year. Huh. That would be tempting. Yeah, that might actually be smart for my taxes, now that I think about it. But, hmm, but then again, I don't know that 10 grand is really gonna amount to that much. All right, I'm gonna roll this. I'm gonna roll the strikes down from the 600s to the 500s. 5 of them. That's gonna give me about 3 grand. Hmm. Yeah, let's try to get a fill there. All right, it says partial. Let's see if they all went through. Yep, there we go. All right, that gives me about 3 grand. That's probably good. That's probably fine. All right, that's the only trade I need to make in that account. Let's check the IRA. 300 shares, 2 in the money leaps. That entitles me to 5 covered calls. I've got this one January 550. I'm still kind of holding out hope that this could go in the money. We might get some last minute heroics. It's 800 bucks. Like I could just decide to roll it out to like February, March, April. But I'm okay. I'm okay with rolling the dice on this one. All right, so it looks like I do have 5 covered calls on. I've had them on for a week. The 630 strikes, and I can buy them back for less than half of what I paid for them. So it does look like I need to either close or roll these. And with the price being down, I'm inclined to the hell are these 780s? This is the problem with having so many frickin' strategies going on at once. Okay, so I was confused. These 630s, I did sell I did sell 5 630s, but this is not a covered call. This is actually part of my call debit spread. Yeah, so there is a little bit of a chance that this could potentially happen. So, all right, got that figured out. I'm ignoring that. Speculative long call, very speculative long call. This is a giant loser. I mean, I see almost no chance of us getting to 1080 by January. So, bought it for 4,500 when I got a little bit overzealous, and now that's worth 100 bucks. These are the 2 covered calls that I actually have. So these have been on since For 11 days, I can buy it back for half, so that does make sense. And these 780s are sold against these two leaps. So let's do that. Let's roll expirations to I can only roll out 1 week. But let me roll down to maybe the 600s. $800 credit. 1,800 bucks to play with. Buy shares, or is there a long call that I can buy for under 1,800? No. Even the June 1080s are 3 grand. So I'd have to peel off some shares to get that. So let's just add shares. 1,800 bucks. I can get not quite 6, so 5. Cha-ching. I have no cash to spend. I like that very much. All right, the joint account. Again, I have to fucking decipher what the hell I'm doing here. So I've got one covered call, 780. How do I not have an in the money call to sell this against? Probably because I was selling it against this one, and it's not even in the money anymore. It's kind of close. It's 0.67 delta. So this is barely cutting it. In general, you want to sell covered calls against like a zero point 0.7 or higher to get that synthetic. But this is not the end of the world. It's worth 133. So if I add that to the strike, that gets me to 413, 513. So as long as I'm selling a 513 strike or higher, this is a relatively safe poor man's covered call. So let me go ahead and roll the expirations out to 42. And again, maybe I will go to the 600 strike and pick up a credit there. No insta fill, so let's walk it down and get a little bit less of a credit. And walk it down again. There we go. All right, we got fills. I like fills. I've got this April speculative long call. That one's still up, I guess because I've had it for 60 days. This one's a loser. This one's only been open for 18 days, so I probably bought this right around the time of all-time highs. Right around there somewhere. Plenty of time for this to recover, though. I will think about rolling it when it gets to 90 days to expiration. We'll see what the price is around that time. Got the leaps that I'm selling the covered call against. And then I've got 4 more. These are well out of the money. So individually, I could not sell covered calls against these. But added together, it's 200 delta. So I could technically sell 2 covered calls against these. It would be called a ratio spread because I'm selling 1 covered call against 2 leaps instead of 1. But not exactly anxious to do that until the price gets higher. So I will bide my time there. All right, my allowance. I've got one covered call against one leaps. This one is also basically at the money. Lost about, oof, it was like 8,000. Yeah, that one's down about 8 grand from 220 to 14. But that's the point of selling these covered calls. So again, I've got a 42 days to expiration. I sold it for 3,000. I could buy it back for 13, but where am I going to roll it to? I can't roll it to 45 because they're not available. And I don't really want to roll it down, or do I? If I roll it down to the 500 strikes, I might be able to skim a little bit of profit here, but that's not that's not all that enticing. So I think I'll wait for this to get down another week or two before I make a move here. Now, what I could do is add a 1080, but in order to pay for it, because my trade price here is 5,200, so this is kind of underwater here. I could sell, what, 10 shares? That'd give me 3,500. How much cash do I have? 80 bucks. All right, sell 10 shares. It's going to give me $3,500 to play with. And now I can dollar cost average into this June 1080. It's over 180 days, just barely. Okay, no, I am not trying to sell 100 shares. There we go. Oh, damn. I sold one too many shares, and I need to come off that last share. Okay, that's fine. What's my average cost? Actually, so my trade price, wow, my trade price is $400 a share on MicroStrategy. So yeah, if I buy one back, it's probably considered wash sale. If I sell at a loss and then buy it right back, anyway, yeah, okay. No biggie there. I think that's all I need to do in this account. So let's hit the 5K account. We've got CLSK expiring today. I'll buy this back for $1. Sell another one for next week. Mining stocks, I like to build 10% call away value. So 10% of 11 is $1.10. $1.10 plus the 11 gets me to around the 1250 strike. If I sell the 1250 strike, I can collect $25 in premium, which is about 2% returns on $1,100 of collateral. So I like that. If I'm able to collect 2% a week, that's 100% profit for a year, not including any call away value if the value of the stock goes up. All right, I had 4 more of the 14.5 calls. I probably could have managed these yesterday. Buy all of those back for $1. Another 400 shares of collateral has been released. Where's the one I just sold? That wasn't, there it is. Okay. I was wondering where my little, -1 was hiding. Alright, I'm gonna sell 4 more of them. Collect another $100. Thank you. How many strikes did I frickin' have? I have a 13 strike as well. Two more of them. Okay. Those are probably the two that got assigned last Friday. Okay, cool. All right, so now I can sell two more. Of course, it doesn't want to fill. I'm just gonna put the bid in. Maybe what did I just try to sell it for? I'm just trying to get 24. Come on, there we go. Thank you. All right, I have 700 shares of CLSK. I have 7 covered calls for next week. That is good to go. Looks like for Riot, I also have 7 covered calls. So I'm gonna clean them all up at once so I can just do this in one step when I sell my new covered calls. These 5, I think, have been sitting here. Date sold 11/4. Yeah, so I sold these on 11/4. My average credit was 50 cents. Now let's look at this chart. As the price pumped, right? Riot was up to like, I don't know, probably $15 a share or something, 13, $14 a share. I could have panicked here and done something like paid to roll, paid $2.50 to roll this just a week ago. However, I did nothing, and now I don't have to pay to roll this. I have to pay like $4. If I was going to do anything here, it wouldn't be to roll at the top. It would have been to just close my position. If I just wanted to exit Riot completely and have the cash and do something else with it, I should have done that. But just to pay to roll here because I'm freaking out about the price is not the move. So I chose to sit on my hands, do nothing. Riot's down 10% since last week, and now I don't have to pay $250 to roll each one of these. Now it costs me $20. I think I have one more. Buy this back for a buck. Let me refresh. 700 shares. I have no covered calls. This one lonely Riot 22 call is a speculative one. Some friends wanted to get something on Riot out to 2026, so I decided to pick up one as well, copy trade them a little bit. So I have 700 shares. I need 7 covered calls. Same principle. 10% call away is $1.15 plus 11.50. So that gets me to 12.50, 13 strike approximately. Collecting $14 times 7. That's a little over 1% returns on my collateral and 10% call away value. So just aggregating small profits week after week after week. All right, let's see. Am I using margin? Yes. but I'm using about $300 less margin than I was last week. So I am inclined to stand pat there. I am not going to add any new positions, and I'll continue to just chip away at this margin usage. I could just take care of it by peeling off 100 shares of something, but 100 was it $800 worth of margin? Yeah, $900 worth of margin on an account this size is probably not a big deal. So, no reason to panic there. All right, that is the end. Let me add my pretty face back in. I'll add the comments and let me scroll back up and try to catch up. All right, John Bajuelo says, truly appreciate the transparency. It helps me understand what a realistic scenario looks like for those of us who are trying to find or who are trying to build towards the types of accounts you often see screenshotted on X and YouTube. Yeah, that was probably one of the main things that I was shooting for was transparency. There's a good video that CoffeeZilla did. He likes to do exposés and stuff, and he did some. He was exposing a lot of the options trading accounts. They basically they post all of their wins, right? They don't post any of the losses, and then they try to sell you courses. And generally, I haven't taken any of the courses, but I'm assuming you can probably just learn any of that shit for free, on this channel for one, or there's plenty of YouTube content out there that I learned from. So a lot of these guys are just scamming. I guess that's the worst interpretation. The best interpretation would be like grifting, right? They're just maybe they do have reasonable information, but they're hyping it up. They're not really fairly representing, uh, you know, accurate expectations. And even some of the option sellers that I follow think I'm a little bit ambitious when I try to collect 1% returns a week because that's 50% a year. And that's like staggeringly high compared to the S&P 500. But with the volatility on Bitcoin derivatives, it hasn't been that difficult for me to get pretty routinely. So, um, some of the veteran option sellers that I follow shoot more for like 0.5% a week. So if you want to say that's more realistic, I won't argue too much. But for now, while the volatility's up and the premiums are available, I will take advantage. Um, you know, I'm gonna get it while I can get it. So, oh, but CoffeeZilla did find one guy who I think his channel's called Real PNL, and he literally just shows his profits and losses. And so this guy, I think he sells a course too, but if I was gonna spend money, I would definitely spend money on a course where the guy's literally sharing his his profits and losses. Um, I don't sell courses and don't really ever intend to. If I ever get monetized, maybe I'll let Elon pay me some money or something, but I definitely I don't offer courses. I don't offer one-to-one, you know, paid coaching or any of that stuff. I just kind of like doing this thing. Um, so yeah, I really admired that guy for his transparency and just kind of laying it all out there. So I've kind of tried to follow that model. So appreciate the comment. It's about culture says thanks for all you do. My pleasure. And then says I'm gonna watch a bunch of these over the next couple of weeks. I'll have some questions ready for early January. Cool. Can't wait to see what you come up with. AI gone wrong. After being on Tasty for so long, I cannot stand the Robinhood interface. Not as compact. Regardless, watching you sell minor covered calls is satisfying. A breath of fresh air from watching Tasty trade. Cool. Angry Buddha. Most of the good stuff is free. Yeah, I mean, I kinda looking at it like this too, like, if I needed to sell courses to pay the bills, I I mean, I'm not gonna let my family starve, so I'd do it, but I can't imagine that I would make more doing it than I do just trading to begin with, so it would just be adding an additional revenue stream, and I kinda just don't like the idea of being, not indebted to someone, but yeah, I mean, somebody gives you some money, then their you're their employee. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the sound of it. Dude Face says supposedly Robinhood is debuting a new interface at some point in the coming year, and it's a vast improvement. I have seen some beta tests of it. Looks much better. So I don't know if you mean Legend. I clicked this to see what it looked like once. I wonder if I can in a new tab. Okay, let me just do this in a new tab. So I opened up Legend, and I immediately was like, "Oh god, I'm lost." And I was not ready to learn this, but maybe we'll just take a look at it. See, now I don't know what to click. Okay, so watch list. No. Um, see, now I'm already lost. Now I'm pissed. All my buttons are gone. Yeah, fuck this. Yeah, I'm just kicking the can down the road. If they make Robin Hood Legend like mandatory, I guess I'll have to figure it out, but not looking forward to it. Angry Buddha says, I've watched Real P&L from when he first started good stuff. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Dude face, whenever you get the merch going, I'll buy a shirt for sure. Oh, me personally, like not True North merch? Huh. Maybe it'll have to be maybe it'll have to be my profile pic. So people Grain said he thought that my profile pic was a jack-o'-lantern, and it's actually an AI generated emoji. So back when like Clown World came out, you know, that was the big woke insult was just everything was Clown World. Um, and then when I was chatting back and forth with friends and, you know, you share a meme or whatever and you just put the dead emoji, I was like, "Okay." I went to the I can't remember which one I used to generate it, and I was like, "Generate an image of a sad dead clown emoji," and this is what it came up with. So, that's my profile pic, and then, of course, I ended up having to, add laser eyes to it at some point. There's apps for that too. You can go and add laser eyes to any picture. So that's the origin story. Maybe I'll just have people walking around with my profile pic emoji on T-shirts. Kanal says, "Good morning." Just saying what's up. Good morning back. Angry Buddha said there's something icky about it. I think you're talking about, selling courses, right? Howard says, "Consider the pressure you'll add to yourself getting money. Now you're just doing your own thing." Yeah. Yeah, that's kinda the way I feel about it. Angry says, "Never could do it for my own system of scalping, and Legend kinda hits hard. Build your own trading panel and add panes." Okay, so I gotta customize it before it's gonna make sense to me. Jumpstart says, "I taught people, coaches, how to sell courses and coaching for 20 years. It is a lot of marketing and learning how to sell, so no, it wouldn't be worth it compared to what you're doing now." Yeah, there's a guy that I kinda like. I follow him. He's a TradFi guy, but he's one of the ones that has a very conservative look, selling options, shoot for 0.5% returns a week. That gets you 26% for the year. It's better than anything that the S&P 500 can get you. And there's gonna be a lot of call away value built in there too, so I would say that 26% returns with this guy would probably be like base case, probably under promises and over delivers, which I try to do as well. But I'm gonna take a look at his offerings, and then when people DM me like, "Hey, do you sell core? You know, do you sell coaching him like, "No, but this guy does." So, I gotta vet it out first before I start recommending anything to anybody. Dude Face says, "Ha, love that reaction to Legend. That's like me when the updated Tasty OS. I eventually had to succumb." Yeah, dude, I hate when, the new Windows operating system comes in and I'm just like, "Oh, do I have to?" I hate it. Uh, Dude Face says, "Yeah, I want a sad Bitcoin clown t-shirt." Yeah, well, maybe those are coming. Um, I think it's Blake Rogue has helped the True North site with their merch, so I guess that's something to look forward to. Alright, I'm gonna hang on and just take a quick look at, the price again real quick. Not oh, I don't need that, MSTU. I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. Oh, actually, Metaplanet, I think they're going to list in the United States. If they have options, I would be very likely to take a position. I'm waiting for Semler Scientific's option market to get weeklies, but I'll be stoked if I can get a Metaplanet position. Dylan Leclerc's affiliated with that company, so that would be kind of cool. But anyway, that's something to look forward to. Last little comment: I watched a technical analysis guy draw a bunch of freaking support and resistance, freaking lines everywhere, and how high or low this could go. And he actually did mention like the 225 ish, 250 support. So yeah, I mean, short term, guys, please keep a rational expectation on this thing. It went to 2,000 a share pre-split and then consolidated to 100. So these type of, when you get a 4 or 5x in short order, it's not unusual to get a 50% pullback, and it's not the ATM. Like, that just happens all the time. Let's just take a look at Riot. Let's look at a year of Riot. Michael Saylor wasn't at the ATM selling Riot every time this thing dipped. That's just that's just what happens, right? We got the Bitcoin pump, we got consolidation. Another pump for whatever reason. I don't know if this is an earnings call. I don't know why Riot pumped in July, but then we get consolidation. We get a pump, we get a pullback. So this shit happens. And again, MSTR kind of literally does have an infinite money glitch. The fact that they can issue shares, it's kind of an unfair advantage. So I want to stand as close to the money printer as possible. Nothing about what they're doing has changed. If you zoom out, this is an insane return to the shareholders, regardless of the ATM selling. It's it's an insane return to the common share stockholders. So Snowy Leopard says thoughts on selling 250 puts here. It's a winning strategy, in my opinion. Any bullish strategy, I'm of the opinion, not financial advice, but I'm of the opinion that over the next year, 5 years, 10 years, that any bullish strategy that you can think of, that you can conjure out of thin air, MicroStrategy will be the best stock for that strategy. I'm more bullish on MicroStrategy than I am anything else. Now, over a 10 or 20-year period, will Tesla give them a run for their money when FSD and robotaxis and all of their energy storage and Optimus robots are just when they're churning out millions upon millions of Optimus robots with subscriptions and all of that. Will Tesla potentially give MSTR a run for their money at some point? Maybe. But selling the 250s, let me go out to 42 days to expiration and see what we can get here. Yeah, I mean, $1,000 at the 250 strike. Maybe buy it back for 500 in 2 weeks. That's $250 a week on 25,000 in collateral. So yeah, that's 1% a week. Yeah, I mean that's 50% returns for the year. I think this I think that absolutely will print, but I think it will underperform just buying and holding shares, right? MicroStrategy, in my opinion, is going up more than 50% over the next year. But I'm not opposed to, selling puts and getting paid for it. That was my whole entire way of life a year, over the last 4 years. But over the next year, while this is printing staggering sums of money compared to, just locking into the S&P 500 or some real estate or whatever, I think it's gonna underperform buy and hold. So, will it be profitable? I think it will, but I can't just say, "Oh, yeah, that's the best strategy ever." Now, for me, what I had been doing while MicroStrategy was trading sideways over the last 6 months, I was plowing that $250 a week into more shares and more long calls, and that has served me very well. So, as an income generating strategy, if you need $250 a week to buy pizza and groceries or whatever, I think that absolutely works. And if you wanna use it as an income generating strategy to buy other assets, I think that absolutely works. So, yeah, nothing bad I can say about it. Alright, I think we're all caught up. I appreciate you everyone tuning in, and be good, y'all.